be presenting Marzia's work. She and a group of her peers really impressed me when I first came across their work in around 2013. She'll speak more about this, but they had this very interesting collective, which no longer exists, which is called Only God Can Judge Me, like kind of inspired by a Tupac song. And these 13 artists kind of banded together to make their own kind of alternative education system from within the art world. And they would meet together, critique each other's portfolios, take language lessons, write applications, and all of them went abroad to study, and most of them came back. And they really have started a new movement in the country, also as individual artists as well. So I'm going to now introduce Ruxmini, who is the assistant curator at Samdani Art Foundation, who's worked closely with Marzia at the Samdani Art Award exhibition, to say a little bit more about her work.
I'm Ruxmini Q. Chaudhary, assistant curator of the Samdani Art Foundation. I have known Marzia Farhana from the time she participated in the exhibition, The Missing One, curated by Nada Raza at the Dhaka Summit 2016. And after that, she became the Samdani Art Award shortlisted artist for the 2018. And then again participated in the DAS 2020 in the exhibition Social Movement and Feminist Future, that is curated by Diana Campbell Betancourt. Marzia's work, she constructs precarious multimedia installations informed by Joseph Beuys' anthropological understanding of art. Her practice is time and space-based, ongoing, and open to interpretation. In her recent art projects, especially from the 2018 Samdani Art Award show that we saw, she has been facilitating collaborations, participation, and reinforcing the possibility of co-authorship on works of art that reinvent empathy. She has recently co-authored works with a government school in Bangladesh, as well as with local communities in Kochi. For her, art is an act of resistance to overcome the violence committed by the domain of the hegemonic society. So I'll go back to Marzia Farhana for her to start her presentation.
Marzia, you're muted.
Yes.
Hello. Hello,
Great.
I'm Marzia Farhana, an artist currently working and living in Dhaka, Bangladesh. Thank you, Diana and Rushmini, for the wonderful introduction. I'm so happy to be here today, and I'm hoping that everyone is doing well. Samdani Art Foundation is really a great platform. I want to give a big thanks to Samdani Art Foundation for organizing this virtual studio visit with the studio visit seems too boring. And so I start from the academic background that I had my BFA in Faculty of Fine Arts, University of Dhaka, Bangladesh, which is well known as Charukola. So I received BFA degree from this faculty, and it has a wonderful architecture, and which is done by renowned architect Mazhar Islam. And this faculty is founded by artist Janul Abedin. When I did my BFA, I was during my bachelor degree, I wasn't convinced with its traditional and outdated curriculum. So during that time, I was looking for some more references beside my departmental practice. So around 2008 to 9, at that time, I found friends with similar interest and their thoughts. So then we started to spend time in libraries, and we searched in internet and so on to find the references and a place for discussion. So it not convinced by the old and undeveloped curriculum. So around 6 and 8 friends, We used to talk in a university area, so it's called in local language adda after our class in a tea store, and it's so at that in that adda we used to talk a lot, and we used to criticize a lot about the conventional educational structure, and also what are the problems and the possibilities. So there was a need for a more critical analytical platform to understand the present world and the situation of political upheaval, and how to learn new innovative languages. So after my BFA, I supposed to do a solo show, but I felt like I discussed with my friends, and we decided to make a group show. And this group show was a kind of an example of the degree show, because there wasn't any degree show at that time. So the title of the exhibition was Young Dhaka. So, and I presented my installation, a video installation in that exhibition in a journal art gallery. The
And it's
title of my
interesting
work,
because this art gallery is within the art school. So you kind of like created a platform to show the kind of art that's not taught or encouraged within the art school, right?
exactly. It's completely different from the faculty syllabus. It was a kind of because we are practicing under an underground platform, so no one really knows what we are doing. But the exhibition is the first initiative to show our practice, a kind of and indications of the new languages that we are developing. So in that show, we really had lots of feedback from the students of the university, and also it gave a big horizon to the journal gallery. So there is a new approach to this journal gallery, and gradually all came together, and the members were meeting randomly, and we took some initiatives, and there are something need for a new platform. And there were like kind of extreme criticism and extreme dialogue, concept developments. So it's all were happened through collective interventions. And we were learning about avant-garde artists, avant-garde filmmakers, avant-garde musicians. So there was a kind of a young energy impulse came together. And then this exhibition arrived in 2012. So this is its title is Only God Can Judge Me. And this is the biggest platform that the collective came into being, with a big with 31 artists. So 13 artists were the basement of the collective, and the other artists were invited. And for this exhibition, so this exhibition is really an exceptional and really a new horizon for the Dhaka art scene, because it was in a coke factory and the Tezgao industrial area. And these exhibitions also invites a non-artist figures from different platform. And there are kind of really innovative languages. And the group was also um, influenced by Joseph Beuys, who says everybody is an artist. So this kind of philosophical involvement was there, and also the young impulses was there. And this area, the exhibition space, also had a really big impacted to deconstruct the conventional gallery spaces, and it was open to public.
I
and
think
it
what's
has a
also
really
interesting is when you talk about this young energy, that people that the collective who were young, or I guess you guys are still young, invited in were really of different generations, right? So you had like Wakilur Rahman, who's a well-respected senior artist and teacher. I think you guys had a rapper as well. It was interesting to see how like you didn't consider youth as an age thing. You considered it as people trying to, break the rigid system that existed at the time, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it has the name of that only God can judge me. Also facilitates the judgment of the conventional judgment were erased. So the age groups, so it was intergenerational, and yeah. Um, so the exhibition was dedicated to one of the intellectual of Bangladesh, intellectual writer. His name is Ahmed Safa, and a rockster whose name is Ajam Khan. So these are two revolutionary figures, also had a great impact on Bangladeshi culture, art and culture, and to change the systems. Yeah.
And you contextualize them globally. I think it was interesting that you take these two figures and you put them in dialogue with Beuys and with Tupac and with your own work, right? Like, I think that was an interesting synthesis.
Yeah. So during this exhibition, we had to work for 3 months, and for this exhibition, I spent 3 months on field work, researching, analyzing, producing work. In the fieldwork phase, so as there wasn't enough references, so you used to take a lots of photographs, whatever interest me. So I put them in a paper, and I was looking everywhere, like where I can find my language or what I want to say and what's going on in mind or in the society. So in that way, in that process of field work, then I made a interview for hundreds of people. I interviewed a written interview, and I wanted to look for the elements, like what exactly dominant elements in Dhaka that people are suffering of. So I found that educational system, even lots of lots of systems that are also dominating people in Dhaka. So how they're, so I was taking interview from tea store people to rickshawala to housewife to businessmen to corporate people. So I was looking to the archive, I was taking photographs. So in Nozrul archive, I found this image interesting, fascinating, that then found that I felt that the revolutionary impulse is not here anymore. So it's all a kind of in a dead mode. So yeah, and the other thing that I was making collages of assemblages of text, and I was saying, if I can be a candle, but you have to be a soul, have to be honest by your soul. So this kind of conversation within the objects, and yeah, so it was going on in the survey, in the phase of survey. So after 3 months, I had my research in a so I had my research done, and I made two projects. One is suffocation and one is iron rain for the exhibition. So iron rain basically is about a kind of fantasy that I was, because there's within these dominating elements, the society is always try to make us plain, or kind of make us as plain that we don't have any revolutionary impulses. And I had a wishes or fantasizes that if there is a rain, iron rain should come, and the iron should demolish all the dominant ideologies and structures that are giving and make a platform for everyone. So yeah, that's kind of thoughts behind this iron rain. And the suffocation was the from the survey that how people are experiencing living in Dhaka. So then I found that there are lots of social systems or infrastructures that are in a collapse mode. So it's really not functioning. Also, it looks like a progress, but it's really not functioning that much. So like educational systems and other systems like infrastructures or economical system is not functioning for everyone. So I made this work as a collapse situations of the systems, and these elements I took it from Old Town and I tied them up and covered them as a suffocated situation. It's not a dead situation, but it seems like a you alive but in a suffocated way. So and yeah, and that's how within these two projects I made with in this OGCGM exhibition. At the same time in 2012 or before 2012, like 11, we were also trying to make preparing some portfolios. We really wanted to move forward, like we really wanted to break through and overcome the boundaries of our country. So I wanted to go abroad and have educations, and the other members also were preparing the same. So we also tried to prepare portfolios, concepts, and we tried to learn lots of language. We tried on language courses like IELTS, German courses, and so on. And during my AMA, so I did my master's in Central St. Martin's University of the Arts, London. I enrolled here in 2012 and graduated in 2014. So I was introduced with the critical discourses and resources within the contemporary art, and that's how I started to contextualize myself within philosophical and theoretical frameworks, and how to speak on the location geographically and politically. But within this context, I also was missing the energy of the street of Dhaka, the mass people gatherings, found objects, because it's more cleaner than Dhaka. And there is, I feel like it's too abundant and mechanical and too structured and ordered. And then when I graduation, I felt really isolated because I couldn't go to the community, and also there was less opportunity to have collaborations in the.
Marzia Poo, you were
Marzia, you're muted.
muted.
So so I missed the energy of the street in Dhaka. So I found that I'm missing the mass people gathering, found objects, which were I used to find in Dhaka street, but London is too clean, and I feel it's abundant and mechanical and too ordered. Later, when I came back in 2015, I started my new journey and looked for new ways to involve work with collective. At the same time, the collective wasn't active that much, so I had to start my new journey on my own. So I started to experiment with forms, languages, art histories, so discourses that can be found in Dhaka. So one of the inquiry was around the modern painter S.M. Sultan, as I read him as a new context within the field of socially engaged art, and his role on alternative aesthetic education. Sultan was an organic, intellectual, a spiritual, a pedagogue, an artistic leader whose concerns about my land, human spirituality, education, and so on. And he fought for an independent society as well. So in this context, I can share one of his quotations that he said in Lal Mia short film. He said, "The kid that draws his village, beautiful flower, animal, pets, green leaves, foliage, and trees. He can't commit any crime, can't hurt anybody. Our trend of the art should be changed. Otherwise, how can it be said that it cultivation of art forms and shapes human character?" So this statement is a revolutionary point for me to inspire do a project titled Equilibrium Project. My project formed there not only to contextualize his thoughts towards a new horizon, but also led me to explore a critical dialogue between the artistic legacies of SM Sultan and German artist Beuys. Joseph Beuys played an important role in revolutionary role with his expanded conception of art and the idea of social sculpture that he developed in 1971. I draw inspiration from Joseph Beuys, who believed that everybody is an artist. So closely aligned in though even though geographically so far apart, both Sultan and Bais believed that social and environmental change can be achieved by human activities. And this informed their expanded conception of art and the idea of social sculpture. These two individual thoughts from two different worlds are bridged in all my experiments in regional contexts where my projects are situated. So this important collaboration project was with children aged between 10 to 12 years from economically vulnerable background in Dhaka. They are from Wakaf Government Primary High School, who co-authored a work in the Equilibrium Project. So I was invited for a workshop by SG Shobik, and the subject was recycle and found materials and its utilizes. So and then when I entered into the school, it was really an interesting community, and the school is just in the middle. And the kids wanted to build a house, and they started to roam around and collected materials from trees, from street bottles, papers, newspaper, and they all started to make, and it's a really a playful act. So this within three days, we built a house like installation, and it lived only for an hour. And later they started to dismantle it. It also their playful act, and this is only one of the short-lived work that I have ever made. And in that workshop, I made a friendship with them, and I found the possibilities to go further. This workshop in 2007 that was finally presented in an international platform of Dhaka Art Summit 2018. An inspiration behind this work was also Bangladeshi artist SM Sultan, who established a school for children named Shishu Sorgo, or Child's Heaven, in 1978. So when I was shortlisted for Dhaka Art Summit, Samdani Art Award, we started to organize this project, and I went to the school, and we started to process, and I asked them to help if they are interested to involve, and they agreed. So how the process? So this is a film promo of the film, that the how the process begin and end. and so they used to take 1.5 an hour to come to the gallery in Shilpakala Academy from their school. And we used to come in the morning. We took 7 days off from the school to produce this artwork, and we were that was a real fun and also a hard work. Yeah, so within 7 days we made the installation, and after making the exhibition, after making the installation, then the space become a cheerful place, and they started to make funs, and so it became a theatrical space. Then they started to make costumes, and they make plays, and they were singing. So that's how it become a theatrical space. um, and this is really important for me because I wanted them to co-author uh, with this piece, and they were kind of deprived from cultural field. They never been to the exhibition space before, and and when they enter into that competitions and exhibited with the mainstream artists in Dhaka, and also it was an international platform. And this is a kind of, they also built their confidence, and they participated. This competition also important for them to build confidence. And this is also
I
I
think it's
wanted
also
to
really interesting that what you gave these guys are like, a space to rethink their education system from inside is kind of like what you guys did with the Only God Can Judge Me, and at Charukala with that show you did in the art school, right? In a way, you've just
yeah,
extended that reimagination to a younger generation after you came
yeah,
back from England.
yeah. And the difference from that is that before it was around the it was like the members are from the art background, and here I was looking for more organic forms, like, and that I really, this is the point that I could knew them and they could knew us. So it's a kind of bridging, building an empathy towards unknown. So, and also I wanted to empower them and to have belief on their own activities, and I wanted to make a free space that they could learn by their own activities. And it's also not in their school area, or so it's a kind of giving them facilitating another space for alternative educations as well. Yeah. um, Here are the images of the installation. So, and there is a possibility of co-authorship. So I wanted to reformulate the individual artist activities, to giving the space for other creative practices to give the possibilities of art, how it can be produced collectively, and together there is a one work of art. And here is the interview or their conversations that were done after the installation. So you can play, Rukshmini.
আমরা প্রতিদিন যখন সিএনজিতে আসতাম অনেক মজা মজা কথা বলতাম আর অনেক হাসি ঠাট্টা করতাম। দেখা একটা হলো বানরের ঝুঁটি, বানরের ঝুঁটিটা পড়তে আমাকে কেমন লাগছে আপনারা বলেন তো? আপনারা আমাকে দেখতে পাচ্ছেন? আমি যাই এখন, আল্লাহ হাফেজ, টাটা। এখানে কাজ করে খুব ভালো লাগতেছে। আমি আশা করি যে সবাই এই কাজটা এসে দেখে খুব ভালো বলে। আমি আমাদের বন্ধুদের সাথে শিল্পকলা একাডেমিতে একটা প্রজেক্ট নিয়ে এসেছি। সেখানে আমরা বিভিন্ন রকমের জিনিস বানিয়েছি। আমাদের ঘরটা অনেক সুন্দর হয়েছে। আমরা সবাই নিজেদের বুদ্ধি দিয়ে এবং আপু আমাদের সাহায্য করছে এই ঘরটা বানাতে। তার জন্য আমি খুব খুশি। আমার একটা গান পছন্দ, সেই গানটির নাম হলো মধু হই হই বিষ করে। আসিল তুয়ারে লই বন্ধু মেখান সুখের বদল, সুখের বদল দুঃখ দিলা সুখের বদল। এখানে এসে আমি অনেক আনন্দ করেছি, আমরা অনেক মারামারি করেছি, অনেক কিছু করেছি, আমরা ঝগড়া করেছি, করেছি। আমি এখানে অনেক কিছু বানিয়েছি। তার জন্য তুমি কেমন আছো? আপনার কি আমি লাঠি নিয়ে হাঁটবো নাকি? আমার লাঠি দেখে কি আসো আশীর্বাদ? আপনার লাঠি দেখে আমার আশীর্বাদ কি লেগা? বাবা তুমি কি রাত থেকে উঠো না, আমি একটু বসে চা খাবো। তো আমি এখানে চা খাইতেছি, এখন আপনার চা খাইবার মন করতেছে, এলাম আমি খাইলাম গা। বাবা একটু আমাকে একটু এক কাপ চা দাও। এই নেন আপনার এক কাপ চা।
আমার নাম আলাবিন, আমি ওয়াকফ সরকারি প্রাথমিক বিদ্যালয়ের একজন ছাত্র। আমি এখানে আমাদের স্কুলের অনেক বাচ্চাদের সাথে আমি এসেছি। আমরা সবাই মিলে এই ঘরটাকে আমরা সুন্দরভাবে সাজিয়েছি। আমাদের ইচ্ছে মতো আমরা ড্রয়িং করেছি, আমাদের ইচ্ছে মতো আমরা পেপারে বিভিন্ন কিছু এঁকেছি, আমরা বিভিন্ন কিছু বানিয়েছি, যেমন সাউন্ড বক্স, আরো অনেক কিছু বানিয়েছি। আবার আমরা যে সিএনজি দিয়ে যখন স্কুল থেকে আসতাম তখন খুব মজা হতো, আমরা ফ্লাইওভার দিয়ে আসতাম। আবার আমাদের ভিতরে
Yeah. So later, after finishing the project, I felt like not emphasizing this project within 9 kids. I went back to the school, so with sweets and the film. So we celebrated with the school, and we made a space for projections of the film, and sharing this experimented with the other classes as well. So it was also interesting to have the experiences after the projects and their experiences. So they share their experiences with their friends. So so I want to give some context of this project with Ahmed Sofa and SM Sultan. Both of these intellectual also build schools for children, and they have lots of important works. One of the biggest work of their life with building these schools for unprivileged children. And so this is a school that you can see here is dedicated for SM Sultan, and this school built by Ahmed Sofa. It's in Katabon. So he had lots of schools for street children in Dhaka. I want to explain one of his quotations that he said in emergencies when he was creating emergency school, and he said during the catastrophe, kids faces so much natural calamity and violence of the universe. So this experience need to be interrupted in their mind. So we need to give them good experiences to go further for in their life. So man does not live only on bread. He or she needs other things as well. So we need to address this. Address this. So I felt like I wanted to give some experiences, because this making process of getting failure, like the making process of creating something a big in a big platform, and step by step they learned, and they got some free spaces, and each of the steps they learned from their own life, and they now learned how to overcome the failure and the upheaval. And I think the working together and having some good experiences also helped them to overcome this upheaval for in the future. So I felt it's really relevant, how what the Ahmed Sofa has said. And he said only for the flood affected kids in at that time, but I also feel relevant is here still now for unprivileged children and also unprivileged people. So at that point I think I can end up with this project. Yeah. So you can see my project very closely connected with the community and beyond. So my practice is not only assemblage with the objects and media, but also with localities and institutional space and people. So I had one of the opportunity that came in 2018, and it was also collaboration with communities in Kochi Biennale 2018. So I made a project titled Ecocide and the Rise of Free Fall. So the um, in that project I when I because after before doing that project, the Kerala faced a devastating flood and then this news came in the different social media and in online newspaper, and these images was shocking for me, how piles of books are um, in the street or in front of the houses, and they are waiting for the bill for to be burned. So I feel fascinating to know more about these materials, and I wanted to create a project with these elements. Um, So to make it more, so I was researching on the events, like how it is happening. Uh, so I found in a Discovery channel that one short film, the scientists investigated that this flood is man-made, and it was all happened because of the climate change, and also how people are making their houses and building construction in an unplanned way, cutting out the mountains or of deforestations. So when I went to the field work, I collected materials, and I took lots of snaps, photographs and videos to see how the process is going on, to how they are overcoming the disaster. And I, after going back to Kochi, I was collecting all these materials from flood affected area. So these are all household and lots of materials that we could found in the scrap market and in the street.
And there was kind of a similarity between the materials you could find in Kochi in the aftermath of a flood and the materials you can find in Bangladesh, right? Because of the Bangladesh also has its own histories of floods.
Exactly, because I could really connect, although I wasn't there, but I never been there before. But the content and the catastrophe that happened, I directly connect with them, with their experiences, and I found that how similar they are experiencing in context of loss of their household materials, loss of families, and how they're um, how they're helping each other to overcome the catastrophe. The idea came first from the books that you can see here. My works is about ecological catastrophe that we are facing one after another. So all the objects came from the flood affected area of Kerala, and I felt like these objects has a memory and the trace of the flood, and it's the most truth for our world that we are almost at the end of time, and we are kind of facing one after another, not only in Kerala but also all around the world. So this 4-room multimedia installations, the first room that I dedicated for the resource and the archive. I felt like during this catastrophe, we are in threat of losing them, and these devastating things that distracting our archives, our knowledge resources, our lots of important valuable knowledge elements that we used to do. So like in a school, I took these books from the school, and these books cannot be recovered. So these are waiting to be burned. And 90% of 98% of the Kerala people are literate. So library are very important for their social interaction and knowledge production, and it's on the thread. So it's also similar to other parts of the world as well during the catastrophe. And in this room is dedicated for more like how it's the interior exterior is collapsing, and in the video the animals are running. It's showing that animals are running in the threat of human activities. And you can see there is a Coca-Cola fridge is more for resemble the consumer culture of modern world, and how we are consuming like the first world like America. Because of America consumerism, Bangladesh and India also it's added to the climate change, and it's also included the flood problems. So it's lots of things were here, like because of human activities, um, how things are shifting. And the mirror is for when the audience came into the room and they see the mirror, and opposite to that they see the window, and next to the window is the sea. So the sea, the water is very close to the window, and it seems like you are in the water space, like the flooded space, or you will feel the trauma. You will be the traumatized, how the devastating events could happen anytime, can happen. So yeah, so it will give you a kind of surprise, and also a kind of threatening moment of that catastrophe. Yeah, this is the entrance room, and this room is more uh, claustrophobic, is more another space, and it feels like you are in the not in this in the space, in the worldly space. And it's more technological or mechanical, that so it's a kind of I was thinking that the world is thinking to invade other world, like the human is trying to invade another planet. And if we distract this planet, this earth, then how can we go further to another planet? Because I think like the technological progressions and the mechanical advancement, human is thinking to move within this technological progress. And I feel this is another kind of distractions of the environment, and also a destruction of the humanity. And there is, you will also feel like it's all about objects, and it's all suspended, and there is a apocalyptic situations. And I wanted to feel like there are the things that human is not centered of the world, so human should think the other way. So the objects and other elements like human, non-human elements are also here, like yeah. So the main idea for this work is also about like to reconceptualize the relationships with environment, human, non-human existence, and informs our condition and experiences of the present transitional time, where we are within the irresistible fall and unable to locate any stable ground. So there is no one way of solution of any problems. Um, that this temporality has shaken our interior and exterior, and we have lost our control over everything. So we are facing eco-catastrophe extensively in recent years. Human has been colonizing nature by exploiting, commercializing, fetishizing, and destructing it. And current regime of corporate colonization and industrial ecocide damage the ecosystem of our world. At the same time, the market-driven domain operates the whole means of human production, and that collapses the global system. With this growing consciousness of the global environmental limit, and the destruction deeds of human against nature, human and non-human life forms, the urgent need have emerged for the new discourses to decolonize this world. So this is the main idea of the whole work. And I can end up here for this project. The project that, this is the last project that I am going to show here, is title is Sovereignty to Nature. And I exhibited here, this project in 2020 in Dhaka Art Summit, in the exhibition in Dhaka Art Summit. Um, so in this work, there is a historical moment that inspired me, the Chipko movement. And this Chipko movement started in 1973. It's also known for tree hugger movement. And I really felt fascinating how women's grew resistance, and they were able to triggered the government decision not to cut down these trees and have resistance to deforestation. Um, and later I found fascinating that my eyes goes focused to the hands that they were holding the trees, and I take a zoom of that images, and I found it so wonderful and so strong, and then I put them into my painting. And this painting also dedicated to double colonization of women. So double colonization is a term, is referring to the status of women in post-colonial world. Post-colonial and feminist theories state that women are oppressed by both patriarchy and colonial power. And this is an ongoing process in many countries, even after they achieve independence. And it's really completely relevant in Bangladesh. So, so this is the main idea behind this painting. Um, so later I did three painting for this project. So you will see like lots of mechanical instrumental images in the paintings as well. So it's more how we are living in a man-made world. The discrimination against women and nature on this planet is a part of machinery behind its violent destruction. This work addresses this discrimination from eco-feminist perspective. So I situated my subject matter in Bangladesh, a nation where among the most world's heavily affected by climate and environmental destruction, with less than 5% of the forest cover remaining. So, and the work traces current situation to the male invention of capitalism that subjugates nature and to a rational economic calculus. So, if you can go through the other slides as well, you will see the other paintings as well. Yeah. So,
It's interesting
divided
now
into three
looking at it.
paintings.
Some of this machinery that's in like the last or the more zoomed outside looks similar to the kind of stuff floating around your Kochi installation as well.
Yeah, yeah. So machines are always coming to my work uh,
Working and
regularly.
non-working.
Um, yeah, yeah, it's most um, not working machines. Yeah. Um, so so I think I divided this installation with three paintings, and also signifying the collapsed bodies in an apocalyptic world, and these elements such as like machinery parts, engines, everyday ordinary objects, and lots of toys and LCDs. It's like an everyday object, and also playful objects, and I use them in a serious matter to tell a story of the destruction. So you will see like this nature's hand, and it's asking for a thirst for life. It's asking for its life and not to make any more distractions. So and the sovereignty or to nature, that the nature is taking its power to its own hand. It also giving back to the power to nature. So yeah, and so this everywhere you will see the sufferings and the destructions of the natural world, and this also asks viewer to call for an radical restructuring of human sovereignty. We all living and non-living inhabitants of our planet are included. So you will see here also a male or like machine-like figures. This is a kind of war machine, the robotics, or these are emerging and coming forward. So and at the same time, the natural world like birds and the like tigers and lots of things are also in a in a thread. And yeah, so yeah, you can see the uh, close part of this painting. And yeah, so here is the eagle is giving us a warning of like something is really violent things are coming, or this is like we are at the end of our time. So yeah, so
Also
we should
interesting that you're using these machines that send messages to children, like, you know, kind of how you were giving messages to children in your school project, but, you know, appropriating these machines in new ways for different kinds of lessons.
exactly, exactly.
Excellent. Well, thank you,
So this is
Marzia.
the full volume.
I guess I will have one question for you, and then I'll leave it to the audience for questions. And I think we have Falguni on here, who's one of my favorite question askers. So I hope that we get a question from Falguni. And I also see Gwen on here, so I hope we get a question from Gwen. But, you know, there's a lot of, you know, you mentioned Ahmed Sofa as a reference, but he was also involved or inspired street theater movements in Bangladesh. There's a lot of theatricality in this work. And I want, maybe you could speak a bit more toward that. You know, it's theatricality across the work, what you've shown and what you also haven't shown.
Yeah. I think it's really important. Thanks for the question. I feel it's one of the important part of my work, because when I explain in context of theatricality, it's a big discipline and big it holds a huge concept and historical evidence are there. But I felt like within Bangladeshi context, Ahmed Sofa is a big figure on making projects on school street children, and also lots of street theaters. Or it's the concept itself is interesting, because when as a street theater or a street, I would say like a street entertainment or a common people entertainment, the audiences and the maker all come together as a direct confrontation of audiences and on the and the maker, the producer. So I always make my installation similar to these two, um, as a like a as it's a politics of participation as well. And so in a space like it's more theatrical, so it's more close to the people, like to the streets, and people easily can go to the and walk into the spaces, and the objects like is so similar, and it's like a toys for children, and it's so close to their everyday life. And so it's how it make it erases the distance between audience and the and the artist, so and the artwork. And I also fascinated some of the paintings like Caravaggio and Francisco Goya, because I started my training in painting. So these paintings are always remind me a situation of the dark time in the history, especially Francisco Goya's time. So this dark time also, I feel like this is an apocalyptic time. So it's like the dark, the black color comes from that perspective. And so I basically more interested on common people entertainment that can be found in the street of Dhaka, because I had so many influences from Dhaka street, especially after all the time. It's before my when I started my art practice, even now it's always the street is there. So yeah, so that's how it formed.
Excellent. So do we have any other questions? If you have them, please type them in the chat box. Okay, so Falguni is interested in the title of OGCJM. Can you talk a bit about how that came together?
All right. So the title is, as far as I know, is comes from Tupac, the musician, from his famous song, and but it's relevant to how it relevant to Dhaka at that time is we are more. We are as we are practicing so we are doing underground practices which wasn't accepted by the mainstream art scene, because there was so many judgments of what can be art, what cannot be art, and what media should be there. So so, and also like who can be an artist and who cannot be an artist. So if there is who graduated from university can be an artist, and the other people from other discipline or not even in a discipline cannot be an artist. So this kind of conventional judgment we wanted to erase. So it seems like the God is a huge figure that who can only judge us, not by the human.
I think it's also interesting with collectives, like part of our, Dhaka Art Summit collaboration with Raw Material Company also talks about, when does the collective end, right? We can also think about bands like, the Beatles or like, I don't know, the Who, the Eagles, right? Or I mean, many bands, right? Like you come together and then you flock apart. So, I think this was a really important movement, but now you guys are all kind of working individually and,
And I think because they already established the mm, hello, can you hear me? Sorry.
we were we also started to make started to spend most of our time in discussions and in art practice, not to make objects but to thinking like a critical analysis of every events and thoughts. And then we rented an apartment, and we shared our spaces and rooms, and it was a kind of lived collective. And then we had our most of our time to build this collective. And so how everyone is came together is a natural process, because I found that the members also had the same problems and the same expectations and same uh, thirst for learning or to acquire knowledge, and to not limitize themselves in a limited curriculum, and wanted to learn more about what art can be and what innovation can be done. So it's a kind of overcoming the conventional structure and to find a new structure or to invent a new structure. um, yeah, so that's
I also
how.
like
So
how
it
you
wasn't that much fun. Yeah.
I also like how you guys kind of hacked the language of existing structures. Like I remember there was a situation in the Samdani Art Award where, so you guys all helped each other with your portfolios, and some people had graphic design skills. So it was a body of work,
Yeah.
and in the image, the work was framed. And then we asked like, okay, like where is this work? And so the answer was given that it wasn't framed. And we're like, well, it's framed in the photo. And then the artist said, oh yeah, that was just our graphic design skills. So I thought it was really interesting how you guys kind of
Yeah.
came together, like, cause you guys didn't have these resources. So it's incredible that with kind of not coming from wealthy backgrounds, you were all able to scrape together the
Yeah.
resources to study. I mean, some of you went to London, some went to Germany, some went to the US, some went to Vienna. It was really incredible, like the kind of breadth of how
Yeah.
far you guys traveled.
Yeah, I think it was because when you were in a young age, you wanted to do something, you wanted to make changes of your society. So it's a young energy. And um, um, so just I got a question
Balgani's
about the
question is,
age,
speaking
especially
of the
since we talk.
collective, can you address age, especially since we're talking about breaking structures? Was bringing veterans and young enthusiasts in as yourself a conscious decision or one to gain some sort of validation? So this is for the OGCJM show that you did in the factory.
Uh, for my I was I went to why I because when I was I had an expectation so from the institution, and I didn't get the thing that I really wanted to learn, and I feel like it's limiticized, and I want to see the world, or like I wanted to know more about art and what's going on around the world. So because it's the internet age, is globalization is there, so it's not enough for me to do the skill based work. And when I was looking for other resources and the libraries, and I found that some similar people are there, and we are like just in a few days we could the energy came together. So it wasn't planned, but some years later it became bigger and bigger, and so you cannot escape, or you are more devoted with the spaces and the work. So and we helped each other because we really know each other's problem, and we really had to invent how to get out of the problems. So it's not from the seniors that will teach us, or that will teach us. So we had to invent because we really want to make a difference. And it was sometimes it was a conscious decisions of with whom I'm going through, with which energy I will belong with which what kind of energy. So yeah, and when we went back to London, and when I came back Bangladesh again, but the collective wasn't the same energy, and it's naturally went apart. Yeah. So what are the things that you are curious about, especially when involving them with socio-political issues? In your experience, what are the best way to navigate that? um, when I was I also learned lots of things from them, and when they I after, like, I was working with them for 3-4 months, and later I found that they also had some difficulties or problems in their families and in their economical situations, and they really don't want to share. But and also they have lots of thoughts about political issues. They are children, they are kids, but their thoughts are not like a kids. And their thoughts are more innovative, and very interesting way they look at their time. And I just want them to have a free space to make their thoughts to be free, not to fear of anyone or anything, not to fear of teachers, not to fear of parents, not to fear of any them to play. And within the politics of play, I wanted to them to learn and get knowledge as an educational platform. So by their own activities, and as a because there are most of, not all of the children are good student. A lot of them are very bad in their academy, in their school. So I also found that they are kind of depressed about their studies, and I just want them to leave everything apart and learn from the new structure, or with the new experiences. Yeah. So I really don't want them to navigate. I didn't want to give directions where or how to go, but I give them a space to create. And I give some suggestions on structural things to build, and some kind of so we maintained a kind of hygiene, we maintained time. So how to keep how to do the timekeeping thing, how to manage the work. So some kind of schooling was there. So Vogicism was an inspiration for the young students to produce works beyond the academic practice, which before they were scared to try or not were not confident. All right.
Yeah, I think that was just a
In that
comment from
question,
Ruxmini.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for that. All
Yeah, I
right.
guess maybe to wrap this up, I
Yeah. So
think that's
also,
something that you see across the work, like you and your peers, you 13 of you coming together to kind of create a safe space to experiment within a rigid structure, and how you've expanded that out for the children and communities that you collaborate with. I think it's really great.
okay. Thank you so much for giving me that and listening my talk, and giving me this platform to talk and to express my work. To know. Um,
And we're going to put this on our YouTube
Thanks.
channel. So if you want to share this with any of your colleagues, like, we know it's a hard time for people to travel. So we're trying to give everyone a portal into, some of the inspiring
That
practices.
will be excellent. Yeah, that will be really excellent.
Great. Thanks everyone, and have a good Friday and a great weekend.
Thank you. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Have a good day.